Okay, so today we are talking about the beverage process. Okay, this process has evolved over a long period of time, and we've continued to add different properties. Okay, so as we add these properties, people start drifting and doing their own thing. Today, we're trying to get this back to be one specific process. And if you guys do this process together, you could actually learn from each other. It's a building block. But I'm looking for consistency. We don't want any rogue behavior like, hey, I'm smart and I can improve this, right? If you're smart and you can improve it, what you do is you come to me and say, hey, Dean, how about this? And then I go, oh, that's a best practice. Great idea. Right? Let's improve it, and then we'll all improve it the same way. So I will listen to improvements, but you're not allowed to go improve your document and be smarter than the rest of the people. Does that make sense? A best practice. What's a best practice? Right? It's the best way to do stuff, and we do it consistently as a company. Right? So we're all about best practices. Right? So, but the way to do it is give it to me, and then we will roll it out as a company best practice, and we'll roll it out consistently. Okay, so we have a master document. Everything that we do should be in Word and Excel. Why is Word and Excel so important to do stuff in? We all have it. And there's going to be a lowest common denominator in every group. That person might not be great on Excel, right? But they have it. They might not be great on Word, but they have it. And when we share documents, we don't want to over-engineer it. Some of you people in here might be experts and know how to do pivot tables and do this and embed stuff and do all that. You are over-engineering it for the group. Don't over-engineer it for the group. Keep it simple, stupid. The KISS philosophy, okay? This document was created by someone stupid. Me, okay? I created this document. It is simple, stupid. It is so easy. My 16-year-old son can work with this document, okay? So I'm not trying to tell anyone anything negative. I'm just saying don't over-engineer it. Keep it simple. Okay, once you have it, update it. Now we're gonna go into kind of updating a document 101. Okay, this is part of being consistent. And what people don't realize is I got all these different properties. I got Tommy's Lucky Pub, I've got the Carson Nugget, I've got the Nevada Nugget, right? I have a desk, and on my desk is a lot of paper, right? And I pick something up on my desk and I go, what am I looking at? First thing I say is, what am I looking at? And I read the headline. And if there's no headline, I go, what am I looking at, right? So I need you guys to understand that even though you know what you're looking at, you know you published it, you know you emailed it, it gets printed. Once it gets printed, it's on my desk or someone else's desk or in accounting. And if they don't know what they're looking at, they could be paying a Nevada Nugget bill or a Tommy's Lucky Pub bill or not a Carson Nugget. I mean, we've got to know what we're looking at. So the very top is called a header. Some people in this room are very, very good at headers. Thank you. Some of you absolutely suck on headers. You don't pay any attention to them, and they're the first form of communication. Before I look at any document, I look at the header. This one here says Nevada Nugget Casino. Boom. I know exactly what I'm talking about. The next thing says the 2025 Beverage Tracker. Why is it important to have the year? I've been here 12 years. I got 12 years of documents in my office, right? I have been presented stuff that's the wrong year, right? So 2025, it's important information. Maybe not to you. You're like, Dean, of course we're in 2025. Why would I put that, right? So then the next thing is the line needs to say what it is. That second line is very important. This says Beverage Tracker for the Nevada Nugget. So what do you think this document does? It tracks our beverage department at the Nevada Nugget. I think that's a good title. And then it's as of date. What is an as of date, right? Is it when you most recently worked on the document? Was it when the document was originally created? Was it because I forwarded it to someone and it's a new date? It's the document that it last got updated. So why is that important? If you look at it, you know the most recent document and you go update the most recent document. If I look at this and it says 7/1, which I just did, I was with Billy and I pulled up their document. First thing I looked at was the as of date. And I said, Billy, this is 7/1. This isn't your most recent document. She said, no, Dean, look for the one dated 7/15, which is today. Thank you. So, and look at the one that's dated 7/15. So I could have immediately started a conversation, started looking at something that was the wrong date. So all three of these things are vitally important, okay? Not just in this beverage meeting, on every document you do at this company, okay? Now we're gonna get into the meat of the beverage document, okay? What does this do? First of all, this column here talks about what the liquor is. Liquor is very important because it's the most expensive part of our beverage. So we spend a lot of time tracking all the bottles, bottle for bottle. At every one of my properties, you are required to know every bottle of liquor you have at your property. And people are like, oh my God, that's an ominous task, right? Not really. Because it's a weekly process, and if you follow the processes and there's teamwork and you work together, it just works. If you're discombobulated, you don't work as a team, you don't update, you don't communicate, you don't check your formulas, it's an ominous task. It's hard. But since we do this weekly, it should be easy. And what does this save? We do inventory every week. There should never be accounting doing a monthly inventory of liquor. We do it weekly, right? So if someone calls you up and says, hey, what's our liquor at inventory at Nevada Nugget? Go back to your last form and it's right here, right? I want to close the books for the month. Am I going to send someone out and do a liquor inventory? No, just look at the most recent week. An inventory is a snapshot in time, guys, so it doesn't need to be on the 1st or on the 30th. It could be whatever that week is, the last week of the month, okay? So keep it simple, stupid, right? We need to know what the inventory is, and we don't want to put extra work into it. That's why this document is so important. So we list everything, every liquor that we own. What happens if we don't have it anymore? If we don't, it's not part of our inventory. What I recommend you do is you cut and paste it, put it at the very bottom. Underneath, we don't have it anymore, right? Why do we want to put it down below? Because first of all, we're trying to work together. All of our liquor should be very similar. If Billy said, I'm not going to do Captain Morgan at the Nevada Nugget anymore, right? And it's a strategic decision because of price, because Sailor Jerry's is a better product at a lower price. We cut, we put it down there. We know what's different at Nevada Nugget. I look over at the Carson Nugget, I see what they're not doing, and I look at the notes, I see the reason why, right? So the spreadsheets tell me the whole story. If I delete it, now I got to figure out what happened to it. Why is it here? I need a note saying, why did Captain Morgan come off? And why is it going down here? So I can go to my other properties and go, hey, at Tommy's Lucky Pub, why are we doing this and not that? Right? And if it's a best practice, then we all just don't do Captain Morgan. We all put it down here and all of our notes are the same. It's a form of communication. Okay? So this is what's active at your property by vendor. Are you guys aware of the different jurisdictions between Reno, Dayton, and Carson City? There's different liquors with different vendors. Did you know that? Do you know that they have Maury, a distributor in Reno? We do not have Maury at the other two properties. Okay, that's fine. It's a notable exception, but this is listed by Breakthrough, Southern Glazers, or whoever your Capital or Maury or whoever that is, by vendor, because that's how we order. That's why it's organized. It's also organized, right, by the type of liquor, premium, call, and well. And we'll talk about what they are and how they're defined. But the easiest thing that I do, take the spreadsheet, I sort it, highest price to lowest price, and what you're going to find is the premiums have an identifiable, it's like, I think the break is right around 21 bucks or something, and higher is a premium, right? And you manage your premiums different than you manage your wells, and we'll get into that in a second. And so then I have my calls, right, and my wells. So first of all, what is a well? A well is your least expensive liquor that, as a casino, is supposed to be what 100% of the time you give to our guests, 100% of the time, right? Someone walks up, they want to drink rum and Coke, they get a Coke, they get the rum, and it's the well rum, boom. What's a call? What's a call? If we have a good player and he comes up and says, I don't want your house liquor, they have to ask for it, they have to call for it. That's why it's called a call. They say, hey, I want specific. I want Bacardi. I don't want rum and Coke. I want a Bacardi Coke, right? We're supposed to be trained to say to the guest, when someone says you want a Bacardi Coke, saying, sir, we're going to give you a rum and Coke. And we don't even have Coke in all of our locations. So technically, you're supposed to say that I want a rum and cola, not rum and Coke, right? But in the history of this industry, I've never seen anyone go to, Coke jail for not saying Coke, Pepsi, or whatever. But the proper thing to do is serve the well. If they're a good player and they call for a Bacardi, you can upgrade them to a Bacardi. And then if they want a premium, like Crown, you know what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to evaluate the play. You're supposed to have training in your operations. Kathy runs operations with Tom, and she's training this every day, every week, is to premium liquor should go to premium players. Now, we're a casino. We don't like the word no, right? But if you have a tier 8 player that comes and bellies up at the Nevada Nugget or at the Lucky Bar or at Tommy's, and they sit there and they put 1 nickel in every half hour, and they're drinking 5 shots of Crown. It happens. It happened right here at the Carson Nugget, right? They go, I want a Crown. And the bartender goes, here's your Crown. And then 5 minutes later, I want a Crown. Here you go, here's a Crown. That's just simply common sense and bad management. Lack of common sense and bad management, right? It's a premium. You're hitting the premium button. You know what the premium drinks are retail. If a Crown, I'm going to make a number up, is $7 and the person's putting a nickel in, that's a losing proposition for us. So you have to use common sense. Are you allowed to say, sir, Crown is for our premium players? Absolutely. You're offending a level 8. Okay? Now, if it's a level 1, 2, 3, 4, if it's a Lynn Morrow, if a Dana McKelvey, whatever they want. They want a Crown, good. Don't overserve, but serve whatever they want. And in all of our operations, we pour freely. Right? We don't really look at it, but you have to understand there's a level of scam. So you have to sort the liquors, and you have to make sure your POS knows what a premium. If your spreadsheet says premium, it's your responsibility to go to your POS, put it in, does it come up as a premium? If I push Crown and it comes up at $3 and it's a well price, you're like, it's a problem. Right? You've got to go check all of your registers to make sure it matches the spreadsheet. Again, another benefit of the spreadsheet. Okay? And we're going to be working with each of you to simplify your POS systems. Right now, you have an Adios MF, right? Why is that there? It's just dumb. I don't know who programmed that. You're not supposed to put drinks in. You're supposed to put domestic beer. You're supposed to put import beer. You're supposed to put well, call, and premium. It should be simple. It should be 1, 2, 3 buttons. That's it. If you find yourself pushing a lot of buttons to get a drink done, A, the bartender's not going to do it. They're going to figure out the quick way to do it. B, we don't do inventory accounting off of the POS system. It would take an analyst to figure the reports out. So we keep it simple, stupid. POS needs to be accurately rung up to the premium, call or well, okay? And your bartenders need to push the buttons when they do the drink by player, not an hour later where they go call, well, and the list is that big. It happens. Just happened at the Delta, right? They had 24 drinks run up at 5 o'clock because the bartender was keeping a list. No, you're supposed to ring it up individually when you do it. The other part that's really important about the beverage program, right? And we're doing spot surveillance of every bartender at every bar. And we're going to do this after you guys get your policies tightened up, because bartenders are going to start to lose their jobs. They're going to get fired. I did this at Planet Hollywood. I had 131 bartenders, right? And 50 of them lost their job after my first sting. 50 of them got fired. Now in Vegas, you have 100 bartenders waiting to replace 50. Okay, but what we did was we went through all the procedures and we told people do not steal. And we trained them and we made them sign off on the documents. And then we told them that we're going to be doing a sting operation through surveillance and watching their transactions. And all we wanted from them, it's a true story, Planet Hollywood, all we wanted for them is that when a cash customer came up, they would go to the register and properly ring up the drink and properly make it into the till. The 50 that got terminated, they didn't understand the policies, I guess, because they were taking the cash and they were ringing it up and it would go almost into the till and into their tip. Okay? Right? And it went not once, not twice, it went over and over and over, and they did it. This is happening at every one of your properties every day. It's a form of theft. Another form of theft is giving a tier 9 a premium drink. Another form of theft is overpouring, and there's a liability that goes back to each one of your bartenders, right? So follow the rules. Person puts $20 into a machine, they get a drink. If they want to have a beer and a shot, they can have a beer and a shot at any one of my companies. But that counts for 2 drinks, and you got to factor that into how many they want. If 20 minutes later, I want another beer and a shot, that's 4 drinks in 20 minutes. That is DUI. You cannot overserve. If you're creating the DUI, you being the bartender, right? You have a personal liability that will get you fined and potentially put you in jail if that person gets into an accident, if they kill somebody, if whatever. So there's a huge responsibility that goes along with this, okay? So go back to your procedures, use this spreadsheet to set up all your POS, make sure that your people know, and we're going to put them through training. I'm training you today. I'm telling you what's important. You guys are going to put a training program together for your team. You are trying to save jobs, okay? But if we look at a GSA and they're not following the procedures and they're not ringing up cash drinks and it's going to their tip, they just fired themselves, okay? So what we need to do is before we do any sting operations, we inform, we train, we tell them what's going on. We're not trying to lose people. We're trying to save jobs, okay? But there's nothing we can do to save someone if they steal knowingly after they've been trained, okay? So your training is going to be very intense. It's going to be right up front, and it's not secretive. And you're going to tell them surveillance in every casino is excellent. I was looking at surveillance the other day and I could see freckles on a player's hand. Okay? Our surveillance at the bars particularly is fantastic, and the team needs to know it. And everywhere we look at cash, we could read the serial number off the bill. That's how good our surveillance is by the point of sale. Tell this to your people. It's great. Don't show them videos, right? Because we don't want people to see camera angles and all that kind of stuff, but be right up front. So next column. Size. Why is size important? Why is size important? Okay? Because what you order needs to match, and sometimes you could get delivered 750 milliliter bottles when you're getting a liter bottle, okay? Different price, different sizes. Liberty Creek wine is a 6-pack case. Don't always assume a case is 12. That's a bad assumption. Sometimes the wine comes in a 6-pack like Liberty Creek, and it's, I think, a 1.5. It's almost like a Magnum size, okay? Size is very important, okay? Size should match stuff. And when you go online and you're verifying, like Ron goes online with, let's say, Sun and Glazers. They have all types of sizes. Not that they sell it to us or that we buy it, but if he's pricing a 750 milliliter bottle against a liter, right, there's different sizes in the system. So he's got to verify the size. Very important. Next column is price. I need to talk to you guys about this because this is not happening. It's very important. Okay, so whoever's the originator of this each week needs to go to the vendor, have a relationship, get a printed list or a website or wherever you can verify, and this price is the non-discounted full price that we pay for a case. It's not a broken case. It's not a discount. So a broken case gives you a higher price per bottle. Okay? This is not that. This is what the price would be for a normal purchase of a case. We buy all of our liquor by the case. We do not pay any broken items unless it's noted. Unless, let's say Billy, small operation Nevada Nugget, comes up and says, we don't go through a lot of Crown. I need to keep 2 bottles of my inventory. I need to buy a bottle of Crown once a month or once every 2 months. I'm not going to buy a case. I'm going to pay the premium of that bottle by one, and then in the note say, this is the real price that we do it, right? And this is the reason why. It's strategic, and it should be the exception to the rule, okay? But in the notes are very, very important. You got to tell the strategy. You're not writing this for yourself. You're writing this for yourself and the future readers. So many times people take these spreadsheets and they do not update the notes. Notes are very important. Read your notes, make sure they're accurate, make sure they're up to date, and make sure that the next person reads it, understands what the hell you're saying. Don't write a paragraph, but write a clear note with few words to say what you're doing and why. Okay? So, price. Do you understand that we don't want this to be the Crown has one type of pricing, the Bacardi has the case pricing, and another one has a discounted pricing. It's not that important to have different pricings. Just have the standard pricing of a case, because that's 99% of what we buy. Okay? Now, let's get into pricing. It's going to make it from you guys. You're going to verify. You're going to have on the spreadsheet, and you're going to figure out what your order is going to be. It'll have a total with breakthrough. I'm going to order 3 cases of liquor. It's going to cost me $318. I'm making these numbers up, right? And you have a price. And you're like, well, wait a minute, Dean. This price is calculating over here, and I know that I'm getting a discount or I'm paying a premium on a broken case over here. The number is not perfect. It's not accounting. It's relative. If it's $3.18, but you know there's a $1 breakage, don't jack up the formula. Don't try to mastermind it. Don't try it to be perfect. That's where accounting comes in, okay? They're into the dollars and pennies. You guys are into the hundreds of dollars. You're like $3.18. I know exactly why. This looks fine. Just let it calculate off of this. Okay, then you're going to place your order. What are you looking for, Billy, when you look at that number? First thing you're going to say is, wow, there's a minimum I have to order. If I order, how much would Southern? A minimum before you can place an order?
500.
500. So if this is $498, we'll figure a way to buy a little bit more. If this is $48 and we're far from it, we're not going to order this week unless, of course, it's important. Okay, so that number is relative. It shows you if you're in the ballpark. It also has to make sense, right? And then what happens is the liquor gets delivered. Ron, this is where you come in. This is where your GSA comes in for the delivery, right? And it's where Tommy comes in. The liquor comes in. They don't always deliver what you order. Okay? So someone needs to verify with this, it comes in, this is the second use of the spreadsheet. Now someone like Ron takes it and goes, oh, I'm supposed to have approximately $318 worth of liquor. I'm supposed to get these 3 cases. I see there's only 2 cases and it's 200 and something. So then Ron has a procedure to mark this up, notify accounting with the invoices and stuff that this did not come in, don't pay for it. But then there's also a procedure to tell Tammy, who's expecting the case, that, hey, Tammy, a case of Bacardi did not come in. She says, hey, Ron, thanks for telling me. We either have a problem, right, and we're going to need to adjust it, or noted, I will just order up next week when it comes in. There's a situation where Kimura was just simply not available. So that's where Ron tells Tammy, and Tammy says, we got to tell Dean, we have a problem here because it's not going to be available for a lot of months. So then we have to improvise, go to maybe a Breakthrough or Southern to find a substitute. But when there's a problem, it's got to be communicated to several people. Right? That's where the spreadsheet comes in. This is your bottom line. If it doesn't match this spreadsheet, communicate. How many people do you communicate? It depends on what the issue is. It always is safe to communicate to me. Whether I need to know or not, just, hey, Dean, FYI, Kimura's out. It should be in next week. Thanks, Ron. No issue. Right. Hey, Dean, this is the second week. Kimura's out. I think we might have an issue coming. Oh, thanks, Ron, for communicating that 2 weeks in a row and we're still out. Now I'm going in my mind, hey, we're going to be short at the bars fairly soon. Hey, Dean, it's the 4th week. Kimura's out. We need a solution. They are just simply not. Okay, Ron, let's get together. I get on the phone. That's where I get in. But you see how the baby communication builds to it? Rather than if Ron wasn't a good communicator, a month later, oh, we've been out for a month. Week 1, we were out. Week 2, we were out. Yeah, I probably should have communicated to you, but you're busy. You probably don't need to know. I am less busy if I deal with a lot of small problems than if you dump a big problem onto me a month later, right? So baby communication. Accounting needs to know. All the crap rolls downhill. And guess what's downhill is accounting. And they have to deal with crap. They would rather know, hey, we have a problem. This vendor, not a good vendor. They charge incorrectly. I've caught the website different than this. Hey, this vendor, they don't deliver all the time. Heads up. They go into a watch list or what we call a problem vendor thing because you guys are giving us heads up that the vendor's not very good. They don't want to figure it out. They want a heads up, right? They want to know when your deliveries are bad. They want to know when the pricing's different. They want to know when the website doesn't attach. Whatever information you guys know, tell accounting. Little piece of information are helpful for them so they don't get to the end and go, oh my God, this is a horrible vendor and we had to figure it out. They should never figure stuff out. They should be given a heads up and verify. That's what accounting is going to do, okay? They're your verifiers. Okay, now the bill comes in. Before you pass it on, take your spreadsheet, match it against the bill and say, common sense. Does it match? This bill's for $500. My spreadsheet says $300. A, pass it to accounting and have them figure it out. No. Or B, do a little common sense. Bottle for bottle, case for case. Oh, I have a formula problem. Hey guys, I've corrected. I'm going to redate it, have a formula problem. It's okay. It's okay. It's not going to match your old document. Look at the new document. Accounting, my bad, right? I had a formula problem. Here's the invoice. We did receive it. Here it is. It does match. Humility. If you make a mistake, correct it and communicate. The worst thing you do is correct it and don't tell anyone. Gee, I don't want Dean to know I made a mistake. We make mistakes all the time. It's not if you make a mistake. It's how you correct it and how you communicate it. We don't want accounting to go, wait a minute, it says 318, but it's this, and now the new thing says this. Billy, what did you do? And you're like, well, I made a mistake, but I corrected it. Why did you tell me? Because I would have looked at the new dated thing. Humility and communication. Guys, just communicate. Let them know what's going on. And a lot of people go, they'll figure it out. That's not fair to accounting, right? If there's a problem along the process, let them know. Okay, so accounting, what's your role? It's really simple. Don't get involved in operations. Don't tell them what to do. Don't do that. Take their bill. Verify it against their spreadsheet. Make sure it's right. If there's a variance, just understand the why. Make sure I don't overpay. And underpaying is a problem too. Because if it's wrong, it's wrong. Why are we over or underpaying? Figure it out. You might find out that there's a bigger problem, a spreadsheet problem or whatever. So under is as bad as over because we need to figure out the why. Just verify. Once you verify, it's pretty simple. If these guys do their job, which they should, and it gets to you guys, it's a pretty simple process. Like, oh, hey, Billy, you got a price here of $20.40 for your tequila. Unfortunately, that's now at $24. The invoice says $24. The website says $24. You haven't updated it. And you better tell Dean because at $24, you guys might want to look for a different tequila. Jose Cuervo just recently jumped up their prices, right? There's a lot of tequilas out there. Nothing says I got to go with Jose Cuervo. So when there's a price adjustment, you guys got to tell them, you guys got to tell me, and we have to say, maybe we should look at a substitute, right? So we're always looking to buy right. We're always looking, and the liquor business is very competitive. They want to bump the next guy out. So there'll be price adjustments. Don't be a sucker to these specials that get you a low price and you buy from them, and next thing you know, they jump it back up. Okay? But be proactive. You go, hey, Jose Cuervo's got a deal that if you buy 4 cases right now, right, you're going to get it at $12 a bottle and save substantially. Ron brought that up to me the other day because the liquor vendors tell him, and they'll tell you, and they'll tell you. And it's like, yeah, that's good. But note it. That's a one-time thing. Don't get used to it. They're trying to bump the other guy, get them in position, and then jack their price back up, and you guys not know that the price goes up. But it's impossible in this thing. You know why? Because you got your spreadsheet. You're going to verify the website. You got receiving. You're going to verify against this. And then you've got accounting that's going to verify. So it's almost impossible that if you do your job, you guys do your job, and you do your job, that this is not 100% accurate. I look at the invoice, I look at this, and I look at the spreadsheet, and they don't match. Now, from the back, we've got to reverse it. We got to go back to receiving. We got to go back to the spreadsheet. We are spending so much wasted time when it gets to accounting and it's not done right. So trust me when I tell you that as a team, you're not following all the processes. But after today, I think you'll have a better appreciation that we're all connected. All of our properties are connected, right? And Ron, when you said you've done it, you're not hearing what I'm saying. As a team, all my properties and all my people are not doing the process. I don't care if one person is doing their job. It doesn't mean that it's getting done properly, right? It doesn't make the invoice that comes to me that's wrong corrected, right? When there's a problem, right, it should be tracked back to who dropped the ball, what happened, was there a price change, right? But guys, I'm telling you, operations, get this thing dialed, make this thing your Bible, get it done right, work really well receiving to verify, and work really well with accounting to verify. You have 2 double checkers, receiving and accounting. They should catch you. And if I catch it, that means the process isn't working. I shouldn't catch anything. At my level, I should verify, look, sign a check, move on. It should be 3 seconds of my day. It's like hours of my day. I have to reject things from accounting because we didn't do our job. Okay? So do you understand we're all interrelated? How many of you have taken a look at another property? Have you looked at Tommy's or the Carson Nugget? Why? Because you have not been asked to. You are now. Have you looked at Nevada Nugget? Have you looked at Tommy's? Have you looked at Carson Nugget? Do you know what the differences are between the 3 properties? Have you noted it and asked the question, why do we have Sailor Jerry's here, Captain Morgan here? Why are we different? If you guys aren't all doing that, you should ask, why is another property different than mine? Is it a best practice? Why are they being charged different in Reno than they are here? First, focus and get your own property done. But if you get to a Mensa level of this process, you not only know your property, you are working with other people to make your property better, and you're checking their work, right? That's Mensa level. That's up here. We're far from there. We are in the blocking and tackling. Get your own property figured out. Follow the process. What's next on here? It is the inventory of the bar. This is very important. Every bar in my company has to have a par. That means that if every bar, every day after it gets restocked, needs 2 bottles of Bacardi, then every day at every bar, I should have 2 bottles of Bacardi. Now, if I have a bottle empty, I still have 2 bottles, don't I? I have a full one and an empty one. 2 bottles. If that bottle gets replaced, right, and that goes into the empty bottle container at the bar, I still have 2 bottles. It is impossible in my company, if I sent Regina every one of my bars and took the spreadsheet, she would be able to go and audit and come back and go, Dean, every bar had exactly the par, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Otherwise, I would be notified, right? Tammy does this the best, by the way. You guys all need to start doing it. She reports that the Lucky Bar, let's see how good your memory is. How many bottles do you have at the Lucky Bar?
It should be 127.
127. She knows the number. I could send Regina right down and say, go to Lucky Bar. Count the number of bottles of liquor, not beer, not water, not soda, liquor. And Regina goes down, comes back and says she has 127. And you know, she looks at Tammy, she goes, good job. If she comes back and says there's 125, right? What the hell? Tammy's like, really? What am I missing? How would she find out? You got a spreadsheet. You go do an inventory. Regina would say, you're missing 2 bottles of Jack Daniels. She's like, really? Right? We have a problem, right? We have a problem. We know there's 127. 365 days a year, there's 127. Unless I make the change, it's 127, right? That's the policy. If there's a bottle missing, right, when we do our inventory, we call surveillance, right? We do bottle for bottle. I even go into the Carson Nugget, little trick, I steal a bottle. If it doesn't get reported, then I know that the bar back is not doing bottle for bottle, right? And I know I'm very impressed when I steal a bottle, right? And they call me up and go, hey Dean, I have something bad to report, but we're missing a bottle of Jack Daniels from the beer bar. I'm like, don't worry about it. I have it. Thank you. Good job. But if they don't report it, I know they're not doing their job. They're not looking, right? Bottle for bottle. Everything should be labeled. It should say Jack Daniels 1, Jack Daniels 2. The 2 bottles should be there. All the bars should be laid out the same way. Bartenders do not get to reorganize their bar every shift, even though they do. Everything should be labeled. It should be there. If I sent Regina hypothetically to the Lucky Bar, she should know where every bar is placed because there's a diagram. It's all labeled. She should know exactly what's missing. She shouldn't have to do a hard inventory. The first inventory is visual. You walk all the way down the line and you see what is there. Now, let's say there's a missing bottle. It says Jack Daniels 1. That's gone. There's another Jack Daniels there. There's a bucket in the bar at that time. And she said, oh, Jack Daniels here. There, 2 bottles. Bar back comes, takes that away, replaces it. There's 2 bottles. There's always the exact count. It's a perfect science. You have to understand how perfect bottle for bottle is. We talked about KISS, keeping it simple, stupid. There's nothing more simple than 2 bottles here, and there's always 2 bottles there. Yes?
Let me ask a question. So when the bar back comes up, does he look at the containers, see there's 5, go back, get 5, and then come back? And how does that exactly...
Every property is different, but let me answer the question. The way that the bartender's been trained, the way the plan is done, is he walks into a bar, and there's a box of empty bottles. Okay? Let's say there's 5 of them, 5 bottles. The first thing he should do is go down the bar. He knows his bar. He should see 5 open holes. He should know 5, 5, right? Because it's laid out. He's used to the bar. And he's not physically like counting bottles and doing all that. He's going, I got 5 here, boom. So then he goes to the back cage, and he gets 5 new ones. He keeps the 5 old ones until the end of the week because there's another process to that, and he replaces it. He says, Lucky Bar, you are now restocked. And the bartender says, every one of my bottles is here. I have 127 of them. It's all good. It's all labeled. Bar back, thank you. If there's 5 holes in 4 bottles, the bar back has been instructed to stop immediately, call a GSM, and say, Houston, we have a problem. Now, the first thing the GSM is going to say is, thank you for notifying me. Do your other 3 bars, because maybe someone didn't follow the procedure and they shared a bottle with another bar. I don't know why this happens, but it does. So the bar back immediately reports something's missing at this bar. Then he goes, does the other bar and says, hey, Kathy, it didn't show up. Kathy says, thank you. We put a surveillance request. We immediately start working backwards, and we have 24 hours to figure out what's happened. What happens? Number 1 cause, someone stole it. Could have been Dean, could have been a player, theft. We have 86 people from the Carson Nugget for going behind the beer bar and stealing a bottle of liquor. 86. Can't do that. That's theft, right? Second, it could have been thrown away. I've seen bartenders, they take it, they don't understand bottle for bottle, they throw it away. So GSM will say, before we go through all the surveillance, go take a look in the trash. Go talk to the 3 bartenders, find out what's going on. The quicker it's been reported, the better it is, okay? So I told you that there's a process at the end. So at the end of the deal, we have a cage. And the cage has X number of bottles in it, bottle for bottle. There's a par for the cage back of the house. Let's say the cage has 500 bottles, right? Do we count every bottle? No. But do we know how many Jack Daniels? Because we fill the cage perfectly. We know what's going on. And we know that it's a full cage because some of it's full, some of it's empty, but the cage is full. If I go there and I look at Bacardi and I've got 3 full bottles and a bunch of empty spots, I'm like, what happened to my empty bottles, right? So then if I take 7 bottles out that are empty of Bacardi, right? I go, oh, that's a lot. I'm probably going to have to reorder. So I have to reorder at least 7. But since we order in cases of 12, we overorder, we fill it up, we watch our par, we monitor it, and we always try to keep a full par. It all works, guys, if you follow it. And every week, you need to put out a report. Tammy does a great job with this. It's a best practice. And what Tammy does is when she gets done, she looks at her empty bottles and she goes, oh, this was a very big Jameson week. We went through 23 bottles of Jameson, a premium. I'm like, what the hell? I said, Tammy, why are we going through so much Jameson? She's like, I don't know, Dean, I'm just reporting it, but I'm going to talk to Tom and Kathy and we're going to start looking at it. We'll do some surveillance. What did we find? We found one bartender, right, that worked for us, was creating a following by pouring all the premiums to non-players. And you know how we found out? A, through her reporting, and B, a player went up to Tom Sullivan and said, Tom, I absolutely love the Carson Nugget because we don't have to play and we can drink Jameson for free. When Tom heard that, he's like, what? Where? Who? Right? The player was bragging and getting the bartender in trouble. He should have been. He was over-pouring, so we stopped that. He was pouring a premium to a non or a low-end player, and we stopped that. Our usage, Tammy, went from 23 bottles in 1 week back down to 2.
To barely 1 sometimes.
Okay? So when you do your weekly report, what are you looking for? Anything that looks weird. If you're blowing through a premium, right? Ask why. It's possible, but guys, our operations are so consistent. In Vegas, you have seasonality, you've got groups, you've got conventions. It's really difficult to monitor. But ours is like Groundhog Day. It's normal. If it's not normal, you just say why. We don't go through a bottle or 2 of Jameson, bottle or 2, 23, bottle or 2. Something happened. It was theft. It was overpouring. Something happened. At the Nevada Nugget, right? They were monitoring all this stuff, and all of a sudden, their vodka, a particular vodka, went off the hook. And we're like, holy cow, this is weird. But the manager there identified that I'm buying a lot of this stuff. This is weird. So I said, investigate, find out what's going on, do it by shift and all that. And they couldn't find a pattern, right? And they talked to all the shifts and they talked to all the GSAs, couldn't find a pattern. So we put it to surveillance. You know what we found? A team member, graveyard shift, pounding the vodka, right? Pounding the vodka. To a point they were denting. But my point is, the weekly reporting gave us a heads up. If it looks wrong, it is wrong. That's a Deanism. If it looks wrong, it is wrong. Say that to yourself 100 times, right? Tammy has come to me a couple times, no offense, Tammy, and you're like, yeah, I thought it looked wrong, but I didn't say anything. I go, why didn't you say something? And she's like, I don't know. I looked at it and I didn't think it was right. I said, Tammy, the smallest thing, just say it. Just communicate. Now I've got her to the point of going, hey, Dean, this doesn't look right and all that. She's been trained to look for what's wrong. And she looks at her series of reports, and if there's a pattern, like it's growing, there's a possibility that seltzers are on the rise and more people are ordering and drinking seltzers. That's true in the industry. But that happens over time, right? And so you got to look at your patterns. If the pattern is whoop, right? What's going on? It could be as simple as one GSA or one bartender really pushing it, okay? And you got to make sure there's not overpouring and there's no theft. There's no theft, okay? So this spreadsheet helps you again. If you're ordering erratically, you have something wrong, right? Now, there's a couple players out there, very, very big players. You've got one that used to have a special tequila, right? We've got Helena that wants a special this and a special that. And those are the exceptions to the rules, right? Yes, they happen. No, I don't like them. And I want to be consistent, but we are in the hospitality business. And I am the only one in the entire company that can make the exception to the rule. A couple reasons why. I have to be in control of the knowledge. B, it's got to be a big enough player that I would even consider it, right? And I don't want this. I don't want to insulate you guys from saying, I will note it. I will talk to management. Don't dox me. Don't say, Dean's got to approve it. Just say, I will talk to management. I will bring this up and I'll get back to you. But that gives you a layer of protection that is not you, right? Some level 8 wants to go to you and go, I want to drink Patron. And you're like, gee, you know, that's great. Comes back to you. I want Patron. I'm not going to come here again. Well, he's a tier 8. Not the end of the world if he doesn't come here again, right? Comes to you a third time and says, this is crazy, and gets all the players all aggravated. You should have Patron. You know what? Let me go to management. First of all, you say, we have a problem, right? Second of all, let's say it's a tier 1. I think we should get some Patron. This is a very good player. So I'll go with a recommendation, but I don't want to. But you guys need to be insulated from making those decisions. Pass it up to a GSM. Let the GSM come to me. The other thing is, I don't want these to be really different. I want all my bars to be consistent. I want best practices. I want to understand the logic of why we sell it. Okay. Next, you have the inventory at the bar, and then you have an inventory back of the house. Okay. Very important. You have both. When you add the two together and you multiply it by the price, the consistent price, what do you now get?
Cost of inventory.
Total cost of inventory, right? Every week you should look at this. Cost of inventory at Tommy's Lucky Pub is over $10,000. Tommy's Lucky Pub, over $10,000. Not good. It's wrong, right? So if I look at it next week and their cost of inventory is $8,000, Houston, we have a problem. It looks wrong, it is wrong, it's probably a formula problem or it's a count problem or whatever, but my two spreadsheets week over week show me the variance. I can easily go figure out where's the $2,000. So my investigation's easy because this week was accurately done. This week was hypothetically accurately done, but they're different. So if you see your inventory greatly changing that's not acceptable, look at that one number at the bottom of your spreadsheet and always know what your cost of inventory is. Okay? Now, this is where accounting comes in and goes, great job, guys. Thank you for doing that. And you know what they do? They see it's 8,000, 8,000, 8,000, 8,000. They book at the end of the month, you have $8,000 of inventory. Right? They're not getting a nickel and diamond stuff. If they see 8 and 10 and 14 and 7, they're like, what are you guys doing over there? Are you schizophrenic? Are you formula problems? Are you buying erratically? Is there theft? There's all kinds of questions. You know what they're looking for? Consistency. They're looking for what looks wrong. So when it gets to them, they put their eye on inventory. They book it, right? Think about this. If I have $10,000 of inventory at every bar, how much money, cash of mine, is being misused in inventory? How many bars do I have here? 5. How many bars? 6, 7. I have 7 bars here. If you count the Grand Showroom, the Sierra, a Latte, I have 7 bars here. That's $70,000 if they all carry 10,000, right? I've got one at the Nevada Nugget. I got Tommy's Lucky Pub, and thank God I don't have the Delta. Okay?
Yeah. That place is busy.
7, 8, 9, 10. That's $100,000 of my cash sitting in inventory. A lot of money, guys. We want to minimize the inventory without ever running short. That's why we don't over order. Now, another thing that looks weird, I'm not blowing through this. We're carrying inventory of Sailor Jerry's and Captain Morgan. Why? Why 2? Ask your players. We did a test, Crown Royal. I had her take the Crown Royal and hide it in her office for a week.
It's still there.
It's
Nobody's
still
asked
there,
for it.
nobody-
No one's asked for it.
And I still got 2.
Well, it's not a nugget. It's not that type of property. But why is it there? Because it's always been there. Break the paradigm. Let the spreadsheet tell you what the guests want, what the bartenders are selling. If you have something sitting on the spreadsheet over and over and over, nice part about liquor, it's not going to go bad, but you're carrying $10,000 of inventory at Tommy's Lucky Pub, right? I really don't care about the number. It's just too big. It doesn't need to be there. If there was a fire, I lose $10,000 of inventory. If there's a break-in and a theft, I lose $10,000 of inventory. I don't want to inventory anything that I don't have to. But if it's part of the business, it's part of the business. When I owned a place in Vegas called Slotburger, I had $5,000 of inventory. Tommy's Lucky Pub, smaller operation, lower volume, $10,000. So it's a problem. Now we develop a solution. So you guys got to look at this with some common sense and saying, why do I have so much liquor? Why do I have so many vodkas? Why do I get it down to the minimum and keep your players happy? If you get rid of something, they will tell you. And then you have to determine what you're hearing is just chatter because there's a change or it's real. If they're not going to come back because you don't have Bacardi, right? I get that. We would have Bacardi.
We have a sheet